for tuning in to another episode of Censorless Hour. I'm Rory Sauter. Joining me is my co-host Matthew J. I hope you all are doing very well. Big show tonight, a lot going on. Matthew, what is the 411? Give us the rundown, baby. I want to hear it, MJ.
Well, good evening, Rory, and to the rest of our worldwide audience. It's great to be here again tonight.
It's Taco Tuesday, baby.
Bring news, which everyone, of course, wants to hear. Maybe not the next thing I'm going to tell you, but we've got to get it out there, Rory. And I hate to say this, I was just reading The Sun, which is a UK publication, and their headline just stated, China has brought back mask and social distancing.
China.
2020 all over again.
Jesus, man. Here we go. This is how it all...
Why do we have to take our cue from China?
This is how it all started in 2020, like you just said. 2020 all over again. Here it comes. The election is right around the corner. I've been calling this for a long time. Yep.
Rory, I think that the installed puppet Biden regime, when they do reinstitute the mask and social distancing again, and if this gets worse, I would say they would do it. I think that they would want to go to full destabilization mode. And what I mean by that is that when you do get caught with not wearing the mask or social distancing, penalties, particularly in Democrat-run cities like I am here in Philadelphia, I think the penalties this time, Rory, will be much, much more severe. Much more severe. They'll want to go full throttle on it because it worked from the first time. Other than they're going to double down this time.
Something tells me that this is way more advanced than what they're reporting. Because if they're already going into social distancing and masking, things must be pretty bad. And they always like to downplay these sort of things, and they don't really make a big deal out of it until it's too late, as we discussed on the prior episode.
Yeah, Rory, they're saying that the hospitals are overrun basically in Beijing and in some of the northern regions of China. And it looks like for the most part, the photos I'm seeing are children. It's just, and I hate to be right on this. I want to be wrong, but I've been saying for the last year or two that and you've heard me say this, they weren't done playing the medical tyranny card. It works so effectively for them. Yeah. And now with Trump skyrocketing in the polls, which they're not going to go down. He's going to be like this 6, 7, 8 months from now, regardless of the farce trials. Do you really want to go through this shit again, Rory? Are the American public, are they this gullible that they'll go down this road again?
Well, China does not want Trump in there. That's the last person they want in there. They know he's a big threat to them, and he's bad for their business because he does hold them accountable. Trump does have his flaws, like we've talked about, but one of his, numerous strong suits is the way he's handled China, the way he's approached that situation.
Rory, and I may add here, and I know we like to talk about all angles. I just got done reading an article on what the globalists thought, or the globalist American empire. They were under the impression that Hillary was going to win 2016. What they initially wanted to do, Rory, the bioweapon was still coming, but it would have came in 2017, and the lockdowns would have been way more severe. It would have been more advanced. You'd have mandatory stuff. You'd have FEMA involved. I just got done reading this article. I should have get the author's name for you. But Rory, they were well in advance. This was going to happen. I know it took Trump out, but they were under the impression Hillary was going to get in, not just for that one term, but for a second term. And Donald Trump threw a monkey wrench into their plans, although they did attempt in some states in 2016 to try to put Hillary above, but their shenanigans didn't work. Of course, they subsequently worked in 2020. But Rory, this is a big plan. And, you and I are aware of what the globalists are capable of. They amply have demonstrated to us. But again, the average American is going to think this is happenstance. If they're looking at CNN or even Fox News, they're going to think, oh, man, another virus coming out of China. We better run for the hills.
Yeah, and this is around the time 4 years ago when they were when China was going through this. This is like perfect timing.
You mean for releasing another bioweapon?
Yeah, I mean this is exact like the timing is like perfect. You can't make this kind of thing up.
Yeah, you would think that they'd come to a different game plan. But let me add this into you.
Yeah.
This is another article I read just before we came on air.
Right.
The Netherlands is reporting a very high rate of pneumonia, similar to what's happening in China among the young. Well, I mean, wasn't it just a couple of days ago that the far right guy is in power now in the Netherlands? I mean, is this all happenstance? Seriously, look that up. I didn't know that until I just read this article about the Netherlands, and that's the first Western European country that is showing a large uptick in the child pneumonia cases. So I don't know. Do you believe in coincidence or conspiracy? I don't know.
Something extremely fishy is going on around the world.
They would start now, Roy. What are we, 11 months out from the American general election in November 2024? They would be laying the foundations again. The scarier part, Roy, and I know we've discussed this over the last couple of months, is that the World Health Organization has been trying to get every country to sign the worldwide agreement that the World Health Organization would dictate policy in every country. The United States hasn't signed yet, thank goodness. But when you have an installed puppet like Biden, things could go further. And the fact that, I know it has to get passed by both houses of Congress, anything like that. But you see what the deal is now. You can see this possibly, them doing that. Remember, we are a globalist controlled country, very much like Ireland and other countries are. DC, as you know, you'll see the Speaker of the House, Johnson, or the Democrats, or they'll put Ukraine and Israel first before they'll put any American citizen first. So it's right in your face, and I just can't believe people don't see it or acknowledge it.
What if Biden declares martial law and we get into even more wars, and they can pretty much call off the election in a way. We've talked about this on numerous occasions.
Rory, you know what just popped in my mind when you just said, I know we've talked about the martial law thing.
Right.
I thought to myself, what if, like I had said a few minutes ago, that if Biden says, well, we're not getting 100% mandatory compliance with the mass social distancing, I'm going to have to declare martial law. Right. It popped in my brain when you just said that. We thought maybe there'd just be like with riots and civil disturbance and the crime happening in our cities. But I wonder if you could still initiate it saying, in the interest of public safety, we're going to put martial law in because nobody's following the government's instructions, or not everyone's following it. And then there you go, martial law. And again, Roy, people think that this shit is like in sci-fi movies. What we've witnessed the last couple of years, you and I know, because we cut through the shit here, okay, that this is possible, plausible, and man, you better stay focused what these people are up to.
And we're not talking enough about climate lockdowns. They've passed more climate legislation lately than I think any time in history. So that's something to be aware of and really watch out for. Because if they're going to pull that agenda and really go to the next level and get radical and extreme with it, it's going to be now. I mean, they're really,
now you're talking about the trifecta of martial law,
right?
Climate.
That's another thing they can add in because they're already pretty much at the top. They already have that entire curriculum, that plan fulfilled. They know how to implement it now into a lockdown status easily. It's been years in the making to build this up and really put a plan in place to execute, and now they have it.
Well, Rory, it's funny you should say that. About 2 hours ago, I was online reading and I don't like the Washington Post, but it comes up in my feed.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the benefits of 15-minute cities,
right?
And that they're hoping that they come here quickly. So yeah, the foundation's laid there. The feckless Biden regime has put billions and billions of dollars into this climate cabal agenda. and you're right. They can incorporate all these things. And Rory, I think I've been saying this a few times. I think these things are coming our way, but they will first, they'll initiate them in Democrat-run cities because that's where you have all the stooges. And the stooges will just nod their head. Yeah, the sky's falling. The earth is going to fall out of orbit. You know what I mean? All kinds of crazy shit. It's people like you and I and the people that watch us are the ones, I'm talking about our followers, that really, man, we got to stand our ground, Rory. I mean, Jesus, this, you know, they're not going to let Trump walk back into the White House. I can tell you that much, regardless of 20, 30, 40-point leads. I think you know that, and I know that. They're going to thwart him. And it's not just the deep state, the Democrats and their media accomplices, but you've got the intelligence community. You've got the CIA, NSA. We saw what they did for the last couple of years trying with Trump, okay, as far as gathering intel illegally. They'd be at it again. And when you have all these forces aligned against you, again, Donald Trump is not a perfect guy, but I think Donald Trump has his heart has his mind and his heart in the right place. He loves the country. Where Joe Biden and these other scumbags, they're selling the country out to the highest bidder.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the climate lockdown thing and the 15-minute cities, these 15-minute cities are really something to be concerned of, about. Very problematic, extremely dangerous for many reasons. There's a wide variety of variables that factor into this. I will say people are so focused on the convenience and the accessibility because most in our country are lazy. When they see 15-minute cities, they see, oh, I can get to all these places and never have to leave. I can just be on my couch all day and we just watch Netflix and play video games. I mean, that's the mindset. That really is the mindset. Because like I said, more than not in this country are lazy as shit. And they see 15-minute cities and they don't have to go anywhere and everything's right there. You know, you got the mall, you got your favorite, you know, clothing store, whatever. Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, with online retail, who knows, you know, what the with in-store, you know, in-person retail, how much longer that's going to be a reality. We don't know. You know, they'll have their grocery store, they'll have their bars, they'll have their movie theaters, they'll have their, you know, whatever, and that'll be it.
Rory, I think my understanding, and it could be wrong, but the literature I've been reading on 15-minute cities is they're even more contained what you're saying. They're large structures, these apartment complexes that are very high that go on for a few blocks, where the people work on the top floor during the day. They've got all their gyms on the next level. Then they've got all, like you're talking about, retailers, and then they've got their walk around spaces. And then there's about 5 or 10 parking spots out front for like 2,000 people because you won't be able to use your car. And you know why you won't be able to use your car? Because everything is tied into your social credit score. If it's an excellent thing, they'll let you drive, you know, to the park or something one day a week or something like that. But yeah, that the 15-minute city, Corey, is actually more enclosed than you think. You don't leave the area. You don't leave the building because everything you need to do in your life is contained there. But again, what is it all about? Control.
Yeah, and convenience. And well, the way you know, a lot of people look at it, and they're extremely misled and they're ignorant and oblivious to reality. The way they see it is, you know, convenience and accessibility. Because, like I said, laziness.
Well, Rory, think about it too. And these things are popping in my mind with these 15 minutes.
And then they'll offer them deals that they can't refuse to get in there and move in. And then later on, they'll bait and switch and they'll fuck with them and they'll renege. And we all know they'll start. I'm sure bad things will happen once they have them in there, if you know what I mean. They'll start really. Go ahead.
Well, Rory, I thought you were just going to go in the direction I'm going. You were getting very close to it. Yeah, we're going to get you in there with various inducements, and you'll see how great it is, and we'll give you discounts and tax abatement, all this shit. But after a few years, it will be, well, do you remember you could leave once a week, or we'll let you take one flight to Florida every 5 years based on your credit score? How about this? You can't leave.
Right.
You can't leave. How about that?
Right.
So you were getting right there, dude. It's like, I'm getting closer. I thought you were going to break. But that's what you were essentially getting at, is that we'll get you in.
Basically,
Okay.
yeah, like saying that all these good things and then reneging and going back on things later on and bait and switch.
Yes, that's what they're doing. They're as I said, Rory, you and I know, man, there's a lot of fucking dipshits out there. They're going to fall for it. As I said, the people with the purple and green hair working at Starbucks and whatever. Hey, man, this is a great idea, and you're going to pay for everything.
Right.
They'll see that initially, and we know how the globalists think. If you think the globalists are doing this for the benefit of humanity, Jesus, you and I know, Rory, it's the complete opposite way. But they do have a market out there right now, and that's what makes the future not scary, but I'll use the word challenging, particularly if you're someone like us that embraces freedom. Okay, these people, as we amply demonstrated, saw the last 3 years with the COVID restrictions, embrace it. They embrace the restrictions, Rory. They say, why don't we have more? I'm sure you've seen the Karens over the last couple of years in malls screaming their fucking heads off that you didn't have your mask, or worse yet, you pulled it down and your nose was exposed. I had that happen to me once.
Right.
It's mental illness times 10. But the government has been deeply entrenched with the brainwashing techniques. And let's say, Rory, that they've been highly effective for many. And I know you've put the ratio at around 60 or 70%.
Yeah. And once going back to this whole 15-minute city thing, once you get into these places, I think people will try to say, well, I have contracts I signed with you guys. And with how corrupt and compromised the legal system is and how much they're in bed with the government, they'll say, fuck your contracts. I mean, that's what they'll say. Fuck the people, the higher ups. Fuck your contracts. You're stuck here.
Rory, how about this? All of a sudden, they go a step further with, of course, our corrupt federal bureaucracy. It's a national security issue. If you leave your 15-minute city, you're breaking federal law. You're not just wandering out there and doing this, that, and the other thing, or walking your dog in a fucking park. This is a national security issue, and you will have the dopes. And let's face it, Rory, the dumbing down of America, dumbing down of America. And I see the guy, Mark Dice, when he goes out and he interviews people in San Diego, and he'll ask
him, he's great.
Yeah, who are we fighting against in 1776? These fucking people come up with everything except the English. Right. It can't be that bad, but maybe it is.
Right. And the funny thing and the sad thing and the scary thing about this whole thing is they won't even really need to advertise or promote it. People will just run there and start moving in. They'll be like, hell yeah. But little do they know, this you can make movies about this. They already kind of have made movies about this and shows about this. And now it's coming a reality. It's coming into fruition.
What do you think of them starting off getting really willing participants? How about all the illegals flooding our border? Hey, man, want a place to live?
Right. Yeah.
Can't leave it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the vulnerable are definitely easy targets. Easy. But I think, so many different types of people will run to this initially, like I said, and then later on, they're going to be very sorry they did.
Right. I think they're gonna spin it like it's the cool thing to do. And Rory, let's face it. You and I know, and I know you're big up on this shit. The entertainment industry, movies, they'll start laying the foundation for it. Hey, this is great, man.
They'll get paid millions of dollars to promote it.
I'm hoping that your buddy Tom Cruise will fight against this.
Right,
Scientology buddies.
Bring up the celebrity factor. They'll get paid millions to promote this shit.
How about a celebrity living there the first week and then getting the fuck out?
Right. They'll be like the poster child. Like they'll show that they live there, and then when everybody starts coming, they'll get the fuck out of there, and then they'll be able to cover that up. And I'm sure they'll try to pretend the person still lives there, the celebrity. But wow.
Rory, like I said before we came on air, that Washington Post article was just nonchalantly saying how great 15-minute cities will be to America. So Washington Post, which is
Evil.
basically state propaganda.
Right.
That is the American government there.
Right. Owned by Jeff Bezos.
Right.
A very corrupt newspaper, very misleading. Yeah.
How do they make it where I'm thinking, like, obviously they probably have the profitable angle in there too, that they'll make profit off you.
Oh yeah.
Some way, shape, or form. You wonder how that's going to work.
Right. Right. Yeah, it'll and I imagine this will be huge for developers, real estate developers, a big money making market. Think about how much money these developers are going to make, and
right?
And these contractors, and these landlords. I mean, all of these different realms and businesses are going to capitalize, which is going to make it so tempting. And there's going to be such a because money speaks, money talks. When you are offering so much on the table and there's so much opportunity to capitalize, people are about that.
Well, you like your buddy Bill Gates.
Even if the idea is wrong, if people know they can make a lot of money, even people in the private sector, they're going to take advantage of this. Go ahead.
Well, like your buddy Bill Gates, you're gonna see investments. I think they're still in the initial phases of it, Rory. They're putting like the articles in the larger media publications. They're going to get it out there. But usually what they do, usually Hollywood is a big partner, Rory. They're usually a big partner. They will assist corporate America in making this a viable thing for the average American. They'll you could say to yourself, Rory, I mean, you kind of have it now. I see it all around, like the 55 and above communities or the 16 above communities. Hey, everything you need is right here. And you might say, hey, that sounds kind of cool. Only problem is you can't fucking leave. Right. You got to stay in the building. It's not like, we'll go to Florida in the spring or the winter. No, you won't. Once you're here because of the carbon emissions. You can't drive a car anymore. You can take your bike, but you can't take a car. Flying to Florida? No, you can't do that either. Until we figure maybe we'll have an electric train to Florida or something. And if you're really good, we'll let you go. But there are already cities in China, Rory, that I was just reading the other day. This person was going up to the vending machine to get a soda. They put their card in, which is connected to their social media credit score. They couldn't get it because they didn't have enough points. So it's there. The infrastructure is in China. And as you know, corporate America just loves what China's doing, particularly censorship. Like Facebook brought all of those Chinese engineers over a few years ago to start their whole censorship program up. So they love what the CCP's doing.
Go back to what you just said about Florida the other day. Say that again.
Like I was talking in reference to, you won't be able to fly to Florida. Like I'm here in Philadelphia, right? You can take in the train and build. Right now they don't have it electrified all the way from Philadelphia to Florida. In fact, it's only as far as DC. But things like that they think that won't burn. Emissions like fuel, diesel or jet fuel or whatever. That's what they're saying, Rory. And they're saying that, I think we talked about this. France, you're not gonna be able to be taking trips from France over the United States or whatever, or maybe once in your lifetime. I think they're very serious about it, Rory. I think they're very serious, and they're gonna, unless there is really significant pushback, they're gonna get away with it.
Yeah, this social media, this social credit score system is no joke. It is no laughing matter. It is a big deal. We need to really take this seriously and stay alert. And it's becoming more and more of a reality, like we're talking about. It's already happening in various foreign countries. Soon in the U.S. I don't know if we can stop it. Seems like it might be too late. Seems like the elites already have their way and have already implemented it into the curriculum.
Right. Well, Rory, we talked about this a few months ago on the show that there are a few states, I think Florida's one, which they have straight up said, we will never adopt digital currency. We will never adopt digital vaccine passports. Man, I hope they stick to their guns, man, on that. Okay, because I asked you, I remember asking Greg the question, how do we get around that? How do you get around if the government says, there's no more paper money? There's just none.
Well, I do think
Bitcoin?
No, I think it'll be hard for the federal government to crack down on every single state. I think there'll be a lot of governors that fight back, which will help our case. But I would say most governors, more than not, will probably go along with it. We'll only have a select few who will fight back. And, fighting back will do a lot of good in the short term. But will that be effective in the long term to stop this madness? I don't know.
Rory, that's why
like fighting in the short term can be like a good pause. It can be kind of a good, but who knows, like I said, if that's something that they can continue to, like in the long term, I don't know. But in the short term, I do imagine, like I said, there'll be a select few of governors that do fight back, but more than not will give in.
Roy, this is why I think it's so essential for Wall Street and whatnot to have only 4, 5, 6 banks. That's it. The consolidation that the government can just work with a couple banks as opposed of all the banks we have now. And I think, you're probably seeing the beginning of that. Look at some of the bank failures we had a few months back. I don't think they're done. In fact, they're saying big things in the economy are going to be happening next year. So I'm with you, though, Roy, that there's going to be some governors. Man, you hope there's more than just a couple that will fight this tooth and nail. There are a lot of people that say, they talk about cash Fridays, to just on every Friday, just use cash. Keep cash out there, because once they remove cash, they're removing a lot of your independence. And I never really thought about it. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I use my credit card for the majority of my transactions, but I do use cash every once in a while. We can't have cash evaporate out of the system. We just can't have that, because then it slips. They'll be able to implement what they want to implement. And, that's not going to happen overnight. I hope not. But how much pushback? And will every mom and pop store and these little stores, whatever, are they all going to have this digital currency? And will there be a parallel economy that we can fight back and have our own? I mean, I know you probably know more about like with digital coin and Bitcoin and all that stuff. Isn't that a kind of a parallel economy or a way of doing transactions?
Yes. And I think it has a lot of potential. It could very well be the future, but who really knows? I mean, there's so much cracking down on the cryptocurrency market. There's so many regulations they're trying to put in place. It's tough. It's tough. Can it happen? Can like I said, can they be the future? They have a good chance, but they have to do it right. But again, getting past the government is damn hard. It is damn hard. Anybody that's ever tried it has failed for the most part.
Well, you're right, Rory. And along these economic terms, I know we talked about this last week briefly. I asked Greg about it. Why are countries like China buying up gold like nobody's business? So what do they see that's going to be happening in the immediate future where, everybody's hoarding the gold? Yeah. Does that mean cash is useless, or what's the deal on it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different predictions. There's a lot of different opinions. Some say cash is useless. Some say the dollar isn't going anywhere. Just depends who you talk to. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. But I do think there should be restrictions and regulations on foreign countries buying up that much gold, or even any gold at all. I really am upset that we allow that. I think it should be for us, for our citizens, because the way they can manipulate and take advantage of our currency situation in that manner is disgusting.
Rory, we hope we have the gold where they say it as, whether it's in Fort Knox or Wall Street. I remember watching a program. This guy was a big investigator. He said, like gold in Fort Knox, it's not there. They're saying it's there for appearances, but it's not there. So what I'm trying to say is, I hope the government has some type of a backup plan here, and that the gold exists, and that it hasn't been looted or hoarded or moved out of the country. But you never know. We're a globalist-run country, like I said, Rory. You don't know what they're doing. We know that they're putting us last. That we know that with the release of the bioweapon and maybe another one, that they literally want to fucking kill you. Okay, so nothing you can't put anything past them. Is what I'm saying, Rory.
Do you actually think it's in Fort Knox, though, or do you think they just tell us that? Just like they tell us the aliens are in Area 51. There's all these secrets supposedly in Area 51, but I don't believe it. I think they just tell us stuff like that. I think it's these sort of things are in different locations, and they put these locations out there as a front, so we think something that is not a reality.
Right.
They want to fuck with us. Go ahead.
Yes. And think about it, Rory. And you don't want this, but if things became societal unrest and just everything went wild and collapsed, you would say, well, fuck it. Let's go to Fort Knox.
Right.
And then people get there and they see it. It's like, there's nothing here, man. Just a bunch of empty crates.
Right. Yeah.
That shit's long gone.
Yeah.
That's something we have to think about. I mean, right now, you would think we're talking about money, Rory, and it's something that I was just listening the other day that the debt has gone up $800 billion in the past 6 weeks since the Republicans went along with the Democrats. You know, it's true.
Pandering, trying to please and appeal to the other side. It never works.
No, it doesn't work. It's very scary. You know, I'm okay, certainly financially. I'm sure you are too. But the people that say are a few rungs below us that are working 2, 3, 4 jobs, how about when shit really hits the fan or inflation doubles what it is now? They're not going to be able to support their families. What do you think happens after that, Rory? The crime rate goes through the fucking roof. Think it's bad now when people don't have money to buy things? Put bread on the table? They'll get it some way, and they'll get it through crime. That's something that will affect. I think the inflation now is affect. I mean, it affects. It really affects the lower income. But you know, we feel a little bit of it, but we can survive. But there are many people in the country, Rory, that you know they say live paycheck to paycheck. I think it's actually worse than that. That they're actually using the credit card to get them from week to week, and that's been documented.
Right. Oh my God.
I have other stories here.
It's going to be worse than the 1930s. I mean, we've talked about this.
Yes.
It's going to get really, really bad. And, you know, I don't think anybody will be able to clean up this type of mess. I mean, there might be people, you know, like Trump get in there and make it better, but this is going to be a big, big fall and crash landing. And this is a sad state of affairs. And the devastation in the aftermath is no laughing matter.
Yeah, Rory, and that's a lot. I see stuff, you know, by preppers and other things that, and I see here online too. People follow me and say, "Hey, man, I can't believe you're not preparing for it. You know, do you have enough supplies for a year? Do you have medical supplies? Do you have a fallback position where you'll go if your town and city is overrun? You know." These are things that the average American, and let's face it, that'll never happen. It'll never happen. It shouldn't just be in the deep recesses of your mind, Rory. If the shit hits the fan, man, you better have somewhat of a game plan. Whether, you know, you have your firearms, maybe some backup if, you know, if you get sick, take stuff for the flu, or just have a backup plan and some resources and some food to get you through. Although, to be honest with you, Roy, I think it's going to be for more than a couple of weeks, right? Might be for a much longer time than that.
Oh yeah, it's never only a couple of weeks. We know that. We know that. What else is going on? Anything big today? Anything you came across?
Rory, I think this, and we should do this, and not just because we're both Irish. I want to do a follow-up, but we devoted 20 minutes Friday night because it's very important because that story of the Irish unrest.
Got to protect the homeland, man. Got to protect our Irish boys, you know, and girls, our brothers and sisters, man. This is real. It's showtime, man.
Yes, it is, and I'm glad that Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon did that special last night, and they're illuminating what the situation is, and not just them. It's Elon Musk. Everybody's jumping in because the dopey Irish government officials who are controlled from Brussels, the EU, the globalists, Rory, they're going to push the hate they're going to push the hate bill, and that again, that is anything. If you go against the government agenda, if you don't support the immigrants, if you misgender somebody, I discussed that, but you're going to do an automatic year in jail. There, Conor McGregor supposedly under investigation for some hate speech.
It sounds like sounds like Ireland is not the best place for MJ and Rory to live, bro. Sounds like we'll be in jail pretty quickly. Keep going. Sorry.
Rory, I just left there, as you know, last month. It's not that bad, and my people are strong.
No, I'm talking about if they implement this law, you're going to have to be very careful. I mean, you love to speak your mind just like me. You're going to have to be extra careful.
Very good point, Rory. And and I wouldn't go into detail here, that obviously I would have to, if it gets implemented.
Walk on eggshells. It's like a walk on eggshells scenario.
Well,
that's no way to live. That's no way to live either. That's terrible. Go ahead.
No. You're right, Rory. It's fucking what? They can come and take your notepad or your laptop, and if you don't surrender that, and I said in your passwords, it's an automatic year in jail. Now, will they do it? Now, Rory, the Irish people that I know very well, because it runs through my veins and the blood runs through your veins too. Yeah. They have a history of saying "fuck you" to authority, and I hope it's, and I'm not saying what happened last Thursday was a great thing. I wish it didn't, but the Irish government has failed the average person on the street, the working class, so bad that they said enough is enough. And tonight, Rory, there were checkpoints set up by the locals so that they couldn't bring more migrants into these small little towns. They've had enough. So now it's a matter of the Irish army and the police are going to have to really force the migrants into these communities. And the communities have said enough is enough. They don't have the resources in Ireland. I know it's only 5.5 million people, but if the people stand up and say we've had enough, the police aren't going to be able to hold this back, Rory. Or the army. The army is very small. Ireland's a neutral country. Ireland is a big test case right now. The globalists are looking very close at it, because if they can pass this legislation and they start putting high-profile people in jail, although if they put McGregor in jail, that would be a big fuck-up for them. I think that would really stir the population. But who knows? We know that globalist-controlled countries and their leaders, I mean, they must have them blackmailed from fucking here to Sunday. Because how can you sell your people out to that extent that you're taking away their most basic right to speak?
Right.
Freedom of speech.
Right. And you brought up McGregor. Do you think he's the most popular person in Ireland? Fair to say?
Yes. And let me say this to you real quick. And I have to say something.
I mean, and that's big. There's been a lot of people that have come from Ireland. Would you say ever or right now?
Right now, I mean, and I hate to jump down this wagon, but I'm going to do it for a minute or two because I hate the guy's fucking guts. Think of Bono. Biggest star there. Well, that fucking jerk off. Yeah. He's got his head.
He might be bigger than McGregor. He's from Ireland. He might be bigger. Yeah.
But he's got his head so far shoved up the globalist ass.
Right.
And Joe Biden's ass, he can't even see straight. Hates Trump. Everything that comes out of his mouth is anti-Trump. So he's bought and sold by the globalists. And Rory, this is one thing I know. And I go over to Ireland frequently. The Irish hate his fucking guts. I know he came big from there, but him and his band moved their $1 billion of assets out of Ireland a few years back to another European country for tax reasons. So fuck him, and he's always waving his Irish flag. He doesn't give a shit at the end of the day for the Irish people. Otherwise, he would keep his money in Ireland and invest. Although he had that hotel years ago, but that's nothing. That's just a drop in the bucket. Right now, Conor McGregor. Now, here's a question, Rory. Tucker Carlson asked Steve Bannon last night. He said, well, do you think Conor McGregor could make it in the political scene? And Steve Bannon said straight up, and Steve Bannon's Irish too, he goes, well, Conor is rough around the edges, but I think what he's doing, obviously, is the right thing. I don't think Conor McGregor has those political attributes or those skills. He loves the country, but, his arena he's in now is the arena he needs to be. And right now, it doesn't really matter if he's in government. Everybody's kind of listening to him, Rory. I'm up about 1.5 million in my last 3 posts to Conor McGregor. So it's getting a lot of traction. When Connor talks, people listen.
Right.
Now, the Irish government's trying to scare him by saying we're launching a new investigation into your tweets. And then I read a report 2 hours ago that says the Irish police came out and said, "Oh no, we're thinking about it, but we haven't launched an investigation with McGregor." Fuck them. They put it out there. They retracted. They put it up again. It's to intimidate McGregor to keep his mouth shut. But this is how the globalists operate, Rory.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you, man. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And you brought up U2 left for tax reasons. Does Ireland have a bad tax code? Is it rough?
There's a different exemptions for artists, musicians. I was living in Ireland let me tell you a story, back in 1984 for about 6-7 months. And when I was living there, Def Leppard was living about a mile from me. And I got a chance to hang out with Phil Collin, who's the guitar. He's still with them, by the way. And he was telling me about the tax exemption for royalties. And that was the reason they had to spend at least 6 months in Ireland out of the year. And they ended up living in Ireland for like 5-10 years. Now, whether that tax exemption went, I don't know. But considering how much Bono talks about Ireland this, Ireland that, one would think he put his money where his mouth is, or his mouth where his money is, whatever. But that was, the Irish people were really furious when they found out there's a company for U2 Holdings. They're huge. But he's not a McGregor. He's not a McGregor. McGregor is known for building pubs all over Dublin. And don't get me wrong, Rory, I don't know if you remember this last year. McGregor got into a fight with a fucking 80-year-old guy in Dublin over his whiskey. But McGregor has his own whiskey or something, and he punched the fucking guy in the face. So McGregor has his problems. I mean, you and I are Irish. You get a couple in you. Hey!
Yeah, no, I hear you. We love to drink, and we definitely have tempers. I do want to shift here. Pennsylvania, and this is something that we have to be very aware of, be very cautious of. Yeah, this is not pretty. It's already starting, and it's been going on. Pennsylvania voters reach peak of mistrust after voting machine glitches for a second time. Pennsylvania voters are doubting the integrity of local elections in the swing county of Northampton after issues with touchscreen voting devices arose on the most recent election day. The glitches were similar to those seen in the county's 2019 judges race. Election officials are scrambling to ensure trust in the voting system as voters and local leaders alike are sounding the alarm, a Saturday Political report revealed. Northampton used election systems and software touchscreen machines for the first time in 2019 and saw a programming glitch that caused a significant undercount of votes in the local judges race, the publication reported. Then on November 7th, 2023, suspicion grew when voters discovered that their printouts meant to confirm their votes on the devices did not match their choice for two down ballot judges races. This is another example of this happening.
As you know, this is my state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'll address the Northampton thing in a second, but you have to remember.
You did hear about that.
Yes, I did hear about it. 2020, I heard about it the day it happened, the morning, because it was a big live story here in Philly. The state of Pennsylvania sent out 1.7 million mail-in ballots back in 2020. They got 2.23 million back. Okay? How the fuck does that happen? And why wasn't that brought up to court? I mean, the GOP, whether it be in Pennsylvania or national, has to fight all these anomalies, and some of them are real big. And this Northampton thing, are they going to have that fixed? And the bigger problem, our new pal here in Harrisburg, the governor Shapiro, okay? The Democrat and a Democrat attorney general, you can't get anywhere. If there's election machine problems or whatever, and you want to say you're in the Republican Party and you want to challenge it, this, that, the other thing, how do you think you're going to fare? And now that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is Democrat, okay? And that Supreme Court thing they just had, I know we went over before. The woman I backed, she won, Rory. She won. And there's also some vote tallying problems there as well. I don't have that information with me right now, but there is. The Democrats have institutionalized the cheat. And I don't know how we're going to get around that in 2024. And I don't care what Republican candidate it is. Let's say it's Trump. Doesn't matter if Trump is still up 60% in the polls. They're going to do something, Rory. They're going, even if we don't have, like you said, the martial law, release of a bioweapon, climate cabal shuts us down. They're not going to let Trump back in the White House. In fact, they don't even want the appearance of that. Okay, and that's why they're going after him so hard, and they're trying to pull him off the ballot because they're trying to tie him into the supposed insurrection on January 6th. And I may add too, Roy, the more the tapes are coming out, the people that I'm following, a lot of the tapes are showing that the police that day were really rough on the crowd. I mean, really rough on the crowd. They antagonized the shit out of them. I know a lot of them let them inside, and you saw that taking selfies. But apparently, prior to that, the Metro Police, the Capitol Police, they were rough on the people, and the people that really agitate them. It was really unnecessary to do that. But a lot of that's still coming out. And remember, it's 40,000 hours of tape or whatever. You can't go over that overnight. I still say it's going to be a few weeks before they even get to the meat and potatoes of everything.
Yeah, two things I want to touch on. You would think after all of these glitches, after all of this evidence of these systems failing and them being skewed and fixed and fucked up, that they would do things differently. But it's still allowed to go on. They still are sticking with it. And the other thing with the January 6th thing you touched on, I don't know if we'll ever get full transparency. And I understand that we're getting bits and pieces and little footage clips here and there. But like you said, to release it all, it'll take forever. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think we'll ever see all of it. And I think that's going to be a big problem. And it's never going to give full closure and clarity and give these people the justice they deserve.
Well, to get back to your first thing with the Northampton thing, paper ballots, Rory, that resolves everything.
Yeah, but how long have we been saying that for? And nothing ever gets done. They don't do it.
Well,
this is why I'm saying the AI aspect of things within a few years, with the way it will be implemented into these voting machines, watch out. And the way, obviously, domestically they'll be doing that, and they can mess with the votes that way. And think about foreign enemies, the way they can attack into our systems, and the way AI makes everything much easier to make that happen.
Well, we're fucked then, Rory. What you're saying is we're fucked.
Yeah, because
elections don't matter.
The way technology is headed, how advanced it is, how evolved it is, there's no stopping it. They can do anything now. Now you got the fat guy, North Korea, Kim Jong-un, spying on the White House with his cameras. That was a new report that came out today. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy, man.
I wanted to say a couple things about January 6th.
Yeah, I just said
when I think about it,
we'll never get full transparency. They'll never get the justice they deserve. They'll always hold back, I believe, the crucial parts that would, like I said, set these people free.
Rory, I'm in total 100% sure.
And when they show us this footage, I feel like they're toying with us. I feel like they're trying to distract us from other things. I mean, I understand it's a good deed. I understand maybe some are trying, maybe some think this is, for our best interest. But at the end of the day, go ahead.
The judge today ordered against Trump that he's not allowed. They're denying him materials from January 6th that he can bring in to defend his case that the election was stolen.
Right.
If they think the election that Biden won massively, why would you have a problem with Trump's people? Okay, we want access to all the materials, the voting tallies, everything, we want access. They said, no, you're not going to get it. This can go on, like you said, Rory, forever. The saddest thing, and I'll just say this real quick. Imagine if you're the guy, Donald J. Trump, you won the election, you have a rally prior to it to say to the people, yeah, I'm with you people. They did steal the election. The fucked up Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, the deep state, the feds, then set Trump up and others, and thousands of people are fucking rotting political prisoners in some DC shithole jail. Okay? Just think about it. It was a double whammy. I know you could sit here and say, oh, Matt, well, Trump's a fucking asshole for having that rally. No, I think his heart was in the right place. They manipulated and played the shit out of him, and maybe somebody should have pulled Trump aside. But then you think about it. If there was no rally, this just goes off into the sunset. Another stolen election. But I make no doubt about it, Rory. We are in some desperate fucking times here, man. People keep saying 2024 is the most important election in history. Yeah, it is in a lot of ways, because to me, when they steal this or however they're going to do it, this rubber stamps the future of the country. It rubber stamps it. And I think, obviously, for the worse. Now, we can be believers and say, Matt, we got to rise up here, stand strong, and retake our country back. That is the positive way. And I don't want ever to forget that, Rory, because I don't want these demons thinking that they have browbeat us down so much that you have no faith in anything, that you can win anymore. We can win this. We need a lot more people standing up and getting the message out. It's winnable. But if you don't move, it's not winnable. We saw a spark last week in Dublin, Ireland, where the people said, we've had enough of your globalist shit. Okay? That should be happening here. Bannon said to Tucker Carlson last night, if you think what's bad in Dublin last Thursday, wait till you see America in 2024. When the American people rise up and say, we've had enough. 10 million illegals, they're sleeping all over the fucking street. We got crime everywhere. We have no money to pay for anything. Bannon and Tucker believes it too. They both believe that this is, and you don't have to be a PhD in political science, Rory, to know what you saw in Dublin last week is a harbinger, not just for the United States, for the rest of Western Europe and maybe the world. The globalists have overplayed their hand. It's time for us to realize what they're doing and put a stop to it.
It's true. It's true. No, absolutely. No, well said. Agreed. I want to shift topics here. I want to mention this, and I know you want to hear this. New York City police officers continue leaving their jobs as the area's communities suffer from crime and the migrant crisis, the New York Post reported Saturday. The Post cited data regarding the officers' decision to step down. The outlet also noted that some cops worry the exodus will only get worse because the city plans to cancel the next 5 police academy classes, shrinking the nation's largest police force to the smallest it's been in decades. The article said 2,516 officers have left so far in 2023.
Roy, let me tell you something. I live 2 blocks away from the Philadelphia Police Academy.
Yeah.
And they train police for all around. Like the universities have police, like Temple University, University of Penn. They all have their own police forces and other transit agencies. And I have an idea how big these classes are. And this is Philly. New York City, if they're saying they're going to stop classes, we're talking thousands there, Rory. Believe me, we're talking thousands. And I was actually thinking about this. I'm glad you asked it. When this starts to happen, Rory, and NYPD is a few thousand officers short, 5,000, maybe 10,000, due to the retirements, like you said, too. The only option they have, and I saw this a few years. Now, actually, this is way when a few years back when 9/11 happened. They will draft in the New York State Police in massive numbers. I mean, because New York's a big state. What other option do they have, Rory? You're going to bring the National. They brought the National Guard in before. What am I saying? I've seen them up at Grand Central. You don't have a lot of options. So that mayor of New York City is going to say, okay, New York State Police, buco overtime forever, or a combination of the New York State Police and the New York National Guard. You got to have it, Rory. You and I know the criminals are going to know, like, hey, man, I haven't seen a cop in 2 hours where you'd normally see a cop every 5 or 10 minutes coming in crime areas. They're going to know it immediately, and the crime is going to go back like it was back in the 90s in New York City when it was fucking horrible, before Rudy took over. and Rudy clamped down on it. But this is a big deal. I mean, you know, I like going to New York City. I think I told you that. I like going up. I like going up to, you know, whether to the UN or the Grand Central. I go up the Trump Tower. I like going up there. If this goes as bad as what you're talking about too, Rory, I don't know if I'd feel safe up there, man. Even in broad daylight, dude.
And this is happening all over the United States, not just in New York.
Correct.
And what does our society look like in our country when we don't have cops anymore?
Well, we kind of have an idea about it, Rory. And I think it's the word that begins with V. Vigilantism. You're going to have the average people, and you know, we have a lot of guns here, and they're going to want to protect themselves. That's what you're going to have. You're going to have a lot of street justice. I mean, you see some of that now, but you're really going to have it. But I told you about, you know, the record carjackings and homicides and assaults here in Philadelphia. Well, we're down 800 to 1,000 cops here too. And my friend who's tied in tells me, he says, Matt, on any given Friday or Saturday night, you might only have 2 or 3 cars where you used to have 10 or 15. You know, good luck. Good luck when you call 911. And I believe them, because there's areas of Philadelphia, as you probably know from me talking to you, that are so saturated with crime on any given night, not particularly the weekends. Well, the police are actually moving a lot of resources there. And the mayor-elect came in and said, that's what we're going to do. Well, what about the rest of the city, man? You've got to use your resources strategically.
Yeah, and I've heard that on several occasions. They are only responding to calls that are the most severe, the most important, and they're being very selective. You know, many times there are people that have to wait an hour in some of these cities. It's scary. The defund the police movement really created this, you know, and these politicians that kept interrogating and kept going after our police force. You know, when you do this for so long, it alienates those types of people, and they don't want to work on that force anymore. And for the departments, because these politicians putting the laws in place are limiting what they can do as a cop, what they can do to protect themselves and to protect everybody else, and to execute properly and go after the bad guy in the right way. You know, they are walking on eggshells because of these policies.
Rory, I know we talked about it, but let's just talk about it briefly right now. Why exactly? I want to expand on what you just said. The George Floyd incident. You know, the leftist martyr, the greatest guy in the world.
That was really like
that kicked off the defund the police.
Yes.
The burning down the 3rd precinct there in Minneapolis. That started off. What community has been the most hurt by the George Floyd incident? The minority community. The crime is fucking going up about 400%. The leftist media, and we know who controls them, put it, oh, God, you got to go against them. Cops are bad. All the cops are bad. There aren't any good cops. They didn't think there was going to be blowback, or maybe they did because they're just fucking Marxists. And actually their objective, Rory, is to destabilize society. But just think about it. That's where you had the origins of the defund the police, and you had your buddy AOC run with the ball. We got to get rid of the cops. And I told you even about this, that the new mayor we have and the new police commissioner coming out. We're not the enemy of the people. You don't got to talk down about yourself. You're law enforcement. You're it. You're not the enemy. But that's where the leftist control of the cities is so bad. And it all started with the orchestrated George Floyd incident, where the guy overdosed and died.
And think about the future of how the police force could be operated. You know, I mean, the resignations don't help the situation, but I've already said it's inevitable that it's someday, regardless of the employment scenario and what their numbers are, robots will be in the force. And think about how the elites can program these robots to go after the suspect or to go after victims. They can they can program it in. The robots will obey all these commands and do things according to the curriculum and as told. And that'll be a reality. I mean, people think that sounds crazy, but there are people that understand it. And people are going to really have to get with the times because it's coming. It's coming. They're already starting to do demos and already building stuff like this at MIT and other, tech colleges internationally. This is, I would be worried. I would be worried because then our freedom's definitely gone. Then we don't have any freedoms left. Forget about the Constitution. Forget about what the founding fathers originated this country for. Forget about it. Forget about it. You got robots arresting your ass, throwing you against the concrete. Yeah. Oh yeah. Think about. And then think about a robot with a gun, dude.
Rory, did you ever see RoboCop, the movies?
And iRobot. Yeah. I think I saw RoboCop a long time ago. I don't remember it though.
I saw it. There's a couple of them out. They did sequels. But you're right, Rory. I don't know if you remember this.
Because you already have robots doing backflips, throwing punches,
yes,
jumping across the room. There's nothing they can't do at this point. As I've said many times, technology is more evolved than it's ever been. It's moving way quicker than anybody ever anticipated. Yes.
Rory,
be aware. Go ahead.
I don't know if it was last year you and I talked about it. It was just briefly. There was a big stir up in the New York Post and whatever that when NYPD started bringing the robot dogs out, they said that they were racist.
Right. Well, they're doing that too. And those dogs, I've talked about this. What the dogs are doing, those robotic dogs, people are like, oh, that dog is so cute. Those robots are so cool. That's awesome how they're doing this. What most fail to understand, those robots are going around the subways, collecting every type of data you can possibly imagine.
DNA?
No, data.
Okay.
And think about what they can do, how they can invade people's personal space more than a phone even can. They got the camera.
They scan your body, Rory.
Exactly. They're getting all your movements.
Fucking CAT scan you.
Right. And think about how they're doing all this photo verification these days on all these devices and how they're scanning your face to make sure it's you. This all factors in. This is all tied together. It's dangerous. They're building all this stuff to do the worst kind of spying. It doesn't get any more invasive than this. This is crossing the ultimate boundary.
Rory, how far along are we?
Far enough. Like we're there. Here we are. Within 10 to 15 years, we'll have flying cars. We already have flying cars, but within 10 to 15 years, it's going to be, I would say, pretty common. I would say they'll make it somewhat affordable, and they'll start doing that within 10 to 15 years.
Well, what is it specifically?
Because people are already starting to get certain licenses so they can fly them in the air. They're already starting to apply for them. The whatever the department is it the FD? Whatever
FAA.
The FAA. Thank you. They're already getting on board with it. There's a lot of fucking people that there's obviously lobbying groups and different groups fighting against it, but more are for the future. More want to capitalize and make money. So this will definitely be a thing. This will definitely get passed. And I think there'll be a lot more crashes. This will be a lot more. There's already enough road rage. Imagine fly rage. People get mad at each other and start fucking with each other in the air. Think about that.
Well, Rory, I would think the scenario you're talking about, and you mentioned iRobot, and you saw what's his name in there. I forget his name, the actor. When they're driving on the highway, Will Smith. Everything's like when you're operating the vehicle, it's programmed. You can put it in manual mode. I saw that in the movie, but everything will be programmed. So when you go on the highway, there'll be no more traffic accidents because everything is centrally controlled. Now, do you want something freakish like that? Or is it coming anyway?
Sorry.
And as far as the dogs you were talking about, Rory, I mean, fuck the dogs. How about like humans? Like, you know, like they're like how about armies of them? Like hundreds of thousands of them. Okay, and they're difficult to beat. It's kind of like Skynet and the Terminator movies that, you know, people laughed at when it first came out in 1984. Hey man, that shit is becoming more and more real every day, where the computers link up and they just decide to destroy humanity. Now, Rory, last week that AI guy got fired because he said, or the rumor was, they saw something where AI has gotten to the point that humanity is now endangered. Well, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And technology is so evolved that this is, listen to how nuts this is. The first Spanish AI model earns nearly 11,000 monthly for an agency. Atiana is a 25-year-old model from Barcelona who is raking in money for her agency. However, she is not a real person. She is the first Spanish model created by artificial intelligence, AI, when the designer and co-founder of the agency known as the Clueless Agency, Ruben Cruz, needed to generate business, Euronews reported Wednesday. An image shows the young model who has pink hair and perfectly shaped eyebrows and makes $11,000 a month. His team has created, for brands who want to work with that. Wow, this is unbelievable. This is where we're at. And now you've got AI porn sites where the women look real. Crazy shit, man.
So Rory, technically you could have an AI movie where the stars and the supposed actors are not real at all. They look human and great, but they're not human at all. And, and this is what, wasn't this a part of what the strikes were about? How AI is going to influence royalties and all that?
It could have been. I don't think it was the main thing, but maybe it was a small component.
Yeah, it's something obviously that, you know, we have to keep an eye on. And it's good that we keep your guy that you had on there talking about AI to get people like that, because I think the audience, Rory, wants to stay on top of this whole AI thing because, damn, it's moving in leaps and bounds, man.
It is. It is. It's taken over. It's taken over every sector. It really is. And eventually, it'll all be AI.
Right. And there's obviously, like you said, AI can be used for sinister purposes. And you'd say, like, oh my God, what if the Chinese get a hold of this AI or the Russians? Well, fuck that. How about the United States? We've already amply demonstrated, which Rory Sauter said a lot. We do a lot of invading in this country, Rory. We invade a lot of countries. So I might be more concerned if we become advances in AI, which surpass everybody in the world, whether we'll use them for good or bad.
Well, you know, we always get our hands on the technology first. So we'll definitely be the ones that bully other countries and take advantage and steal their intellectual property and really go after them. And yeah, I know I could absolutely see that 100%. We have to call it out like it is, because that's the truth. The U.S. likes to take advantage of the vulnerable, the people that are weaker, which is pretty much everybody.
Rory, is Elon?
I mean, not everybody, but you know.
Is Elon Musk, does he use, see, I don't know a lot about this, but his AI in the Tesla vehicles, would you say that he's one of the leaders in AI, or is he more like Tesla and the rocket?
Oh yeah, I mean, he knows probably more than most people. I would say he's at the top. He's at the top in terms of knowledge, in terms of insight, in terms of information, in terms of giving people the proper tutorials, and yeah.
And that's why he's obviously put space
and he just created an alternative to ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, Rory, let me ask you real quick.
He just created that company, so yeah, he's really getting big into it.
I know. Let me ask you real quick. You mentioned that to me a couple days ago.
It's great. Love it. It's awesome. Great program, ChatGPT.
So it's easy to sign up. It's free, is it or not?
Yeah, it is, and they have a paid model too. You just have to pick which one you want. You can go with the free or paid. The free's good enough though. If you're just starting out playing with
Rory,
it,
you can ask it not just factual, but you can ask it philosophical questions.
it'll do anything for you. It literally is unbelievable, unlike anything I've ever seen, out of this world.
Is there anything you have to give up? Like, how much information do you have to put into it? Like your name and address to sign up, as I'm asking you. Nothing compromising. How much data do you have to give them of yours?
It's basic sign up. It's just normal. It's all just regular. Regular. Just the standard, protocol that they do with every social media.
Well, what I was essentially getting at, and I know you may not know the answer to this. What do they do with your data? What are they doing with?
You never know, man. You don't know. Nobody really knows. It's a secret. It's a mystery.
Well,
but they're definitely not. They're not you. Hey, none of.
I don't know what we're.
I'll tell you what. No matter how genuine and sincere and authentic a platform may seem, when they take your data, regardless, even if they're a conservative, when they take your data, they're not using it for the right reasons. Believe me, because at some point in time, they're always compromised, and data is very powerful. And when people have access to that, elites, goes a long way.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what if Rory Salter says, Chat GPT, I want you to build me a spaceship to Mars by tomorrow.
Well, no, no, not like that. But it's passing bar exams. It's passing every type of.
Can it create art?
Go ahead.
Can it create art? Can it write a song?
Oh, it can write a song. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, dude.
Can you ask it if it has a political affiliation?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried that, but I'm sure you could. You can pretty much ask it anything.
Again, the reason I say that, Roy, was you'd say like, okay, well, who's the best candidate in whatever country? Right. And you wonder if it would render a decision for you. Because what I'm saying to you, Roy, there's a lot out there that's saying that these things you're talking about, AI, are still left-leaning.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a biased platform. You definitely know it's left-leaning. It's definitely Democrat. They're against conservatives, I would say, if you ask them. Are you trying to insinuate and wonder if you ask them more conservative leaning questions, if they're going to give you factual answers?
Yeah, that thing yesterday where somebody asked the AI, I forget what Putin did, who was the first on the moon, and the thing answered back Russia or China. It did not say the U.S. Who was the first on the moon?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're pro-American by any means. I don't. Yeah, they're definitely.
I'm going to check it out, though. I will check it out.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I can see why people like it so much. Surprisingly, there's only 3 million people in the U.S. that are using it. I thought it would be a lot more than that, but at this moment, only 3 million people. Yeah.
Rory, I know this is crazy, and you're saying it. Ask it anything. Can you tell me what the score of the Philadelphia Dallas game next week? Who do you think will win the Philadelphia Dallas?
Oh, it'll give you predictions. Oh, absolutely. It'll probably give you its own form, like its own special, because it has its own system. It has its own, the way it's coded, the way it's engineered, the way it's built, the way it's implemented. Yeah.
And it would just get, say, access to injury reports, spreads, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know how they would go about it. I don't know the formula.
It'll be open source. I'm talking about open source shit. I don't think it's not telling you classified data, obviously, right?
I don't know. I haven't played with that, but that would be interesting to play with.
Right.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I do want to bring this up. Hunter Biden is willing to testify before the House Oversight Committee on December 13th, his lawyer said Tuesday, but only in a public hearing. Hunter Biden would be a key witness in the House's impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, pending the committee's approval. Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's lawyer, said his client would only be willing to testify in a public setting, but not behind closed doors, as the committee asked. So interesting.
Rory, why does he want to have it in a public setting?
Um, so
I mean,
Abby Lowell,
it's
let me hold on one second. Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's lawyer, said his client would only be willing to testify in a public setting, but not behind closed doors, as the committee asked. So the committee asked. They said, we have seen you closed door sessions to manipulate. We have seen you use closed door sessions to manipulate, even distort the facts and misinformation and misinform the public. We therefore propose opening the door. If, as you claim, your efforts are important and involve issues that Americans should know about, then let the light shine on these proceedings. Mr. Biden will appear at such a public hearing on the date you noticed, December 13th, or any date in December that we can arrange. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer replied to Lowell via Tuesday morning. And then he said, Hunter Biden is trying to play by his own rules instead of following the rules required of everyone else. That won't stand with House Republicans. Our lawfully issued subpoena to Hunter Biden requires him to appear for a deposition on December 13th. We expect full cooperation with our subpoena for a deposition, but also agree that Hunter Biden should have opportunity to testify in a public setting at a future date. House Republicans subpoenaed both Hunter and James Biden in their probe of the president. James Biden is reportedly in communication with the committee about the subpoena.
Well, wouldn't you think, Rory, whether he's closed door or open session, that he'll take the fifth on everything? Can he yield executive privilege? I mean, I know he's not the president, but if it involves the president, it just sounds like stuff like that. He'll go public. He'll have a public setting, but and you wouldn't be surprised because I know Trump's doing all the mouth saying, "I take the fifth. I take the fifth. I take the fifth." He's out public. He's saying, "Hey, look, man, I have nothing to hide." But then, of course, he has everything to hide.
And that's a big problem. And that's constant. That never ends, you know, with how they can use that as a crutch and as an excuse. And they get away with it and they don't get held accountable. And that should never be acceptable in a court of law. I think that's pathetic.
I agree with you, Rory, but I also think it's not just Democrats that would go easy on him. I think some Republicans would.
Yes.
There's a handful of Republicans that would be tough on him, but hey, man, the swamp protects its own. You and I talked about this over the years. The swamp will protect their own. They may, like Jim Jordan might sound rough to you, but at the end of the day, he's not going to break his balls that bad.
No, Jim Jordan is all talk, no action. He's all talk. A lot of these Republicans are all talk. Nothing ever gets done. It's political theater. And yeah, it's unfortunate. So yeah, December, what do we say? December 13th. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I'm going to certainly check it out. As you know, Rory, I'm a man of leisure at this point.
Hunter, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not going to get much. We won't.
Well, Rory, the interesting thing is, if Trump even picks his fucking nose at this New York trial, it's on the front page.
Right.
The
double standard, yes.
So I would anticipate some of that type of lack of coverage also.
Right. Here's another thing that came out, and it's starting, and it's happening. Scary. Ransomware attack on title and escrow companies impacts homeowners' real estate transactions. Fidelity National Financial, a major player in real estate services such as title, insurance, and escrow, recently fell victim to a devastating ransomware attack, causing widespread confusion and concern among homeowners and potential buyers. TechCrunch reports that Fidelity National Financial, known for its leading role in providing title, insurance, and escrow services in North America, experienced a significant cyber attack last week. This incident has left many homeowners and prospective buyers who deal with FNF or its subsidiaries in a state of uncertainty and distress. The impact of the attack was immediately felt by customers. One homeowner in Illinois who sold her house through IPX 1031, an FNF-owned intermediary, expressed frustration over the lack of communication and clarity regarding her transaction. TechCrunch's attempt to reach IPX 1031 were met with an automated message acknowledging a system-wide outage, indicating the severity of the attack. Fidelity's response has been limited. Their public statements, including a regulatory filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, have been vague, mentioning only that they had to block access to certain systems, causing business disruptions. Services like title insurance, escrow, mortgage, transaction services, and related technology offerings have been affected. Good Lord. It's not good, man, when they're getting into this sort of shit.
Rory, let me ask you a question. A lot of time they say, I know the ransomware and the hacking. Is there a chance sometimes that door was opened by maybe a disgruntled employee?
Yeah, I mean that's always a reasonable suspicion, but
you would
the way things are going right now, dude, I would point to China or Russia on this one, or somebody that's
Rory, when you say
associated
hacking,
with that. I mean, come on, this is going to get. Imagine when it gets really bad. Go ahead.
Are there? Would you say it's groups of hackers, or can one hacker, if they're so good, break the company's code and security? And you would think these things are heavily encrypted. Like, how do they get that far? You think it's a team, or like you say, state-sponsored hacking, where there's large groups of people that just work on it? They find an opening and they exploit it.
Right, and don't forget, there could be hackers in the U.S. that could be employed by China or Russia and be paid by them to do all this stuff and make it look like that people in the U.S. are doing it. If that makes any sense.
Well, Rory, I don't understand this. Why can't they find the origins of these hacks like instantaneously?
Oh, dude, these people are called hackers for a reason, because they are masterminds. They are the best at what they do, and they are experts and professionals. These people can do anything. Walk on water, man.
So, like proxy servers,
everything, everything, dude. These guys are miracle workers. I mean, it's I don't condone it. It's evil shit in a lot of ways. I mean, some of it's for good reasons. But
some of these guys, when they do get arrested or whatever, the fucking government says, you don't want the jail time? Come work for us.
Yeah, you want a job? Yeah, show us your skills. Yeah, teach us. We won't. And then they'll learn, and then they'll fire. No, they won't. Not always, but I'm sure that's happened a few times. They'll get the secrets and then fire the individual. But no, yeah, I want to bring this up. This whole social media, child pornography, pedophilia bullshit is really upsetting me. Instagram Reels offers risky footage of children next to ads for major companies. Instagram Reels, which were launched to compete with China's TikTok, reportedly offers risky footage of children as well as overly sexual adult videos to adult users who follow children, with some of the content even being placed next to advertisements for major companies. In one example, Mark Zuckerberg's Meta-owned platform showed an ad for the dating app Bumble between a video of someone caressing a life-size latex doll and another video featuring an underage girl clad in an outfit that exposed her midriff, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal. Another example involved a Pizza Hut commercial being seen next to a video of a man laying in bed with an alleged 10-year-old girl, and a Walmart ad next to a video of a woman exposing her groin. Oh, geez.
Rory, Raheem Kassan, he's in part of Bannon's war room. He's a big time conservative with Breitbart and all that. He went on talking about what you're saying, and what was the company? Instagram, did you say?
Yeah, I'm noticing this on TikTok. I'm noticing it everywhere. They're trying to keep it subtle. They're trying to keep it subtle in a way, but the secret's out. People are seeing it, and waking up and realizing what's really going on here.
Well, I've
known for a while that stuff was off, and I'm seeing this shit all over social media. Like, yeah, they're trying to be covert about it. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, Rory, obviously this is very dangerous shit
to
the children, and Instagram and other ones that follow it. I don't know if they were the same crowd that were censoring COVID misinformation or election misinformation. It's amazing that they would go after things like that. But when it comes to this child exploitation you're talking about, again, I didn't get a chance to read the whole article of this guy, Raheem Kassan, but he said it's happening. He said it's definitely there. There's no doubt about it. Exactly the way you explained it. and that's very worrying because what are we talking about? Tens of millions of users?
Yeah.
It doesn't go on TikTok. You're saying it's just mainly Instagram?
Oh, everywhere. It's everywhere, dude. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's everywhere.
I don't know how they're going to gauge it, but it's amazing how they're going to let that flourish. But like I said to you, they censor everything else that matters, but they don't give a fuck about the pornography.
No, and it's one of the most dangerous, problematic things we're facing right now, online especially. And look at all the children that have access, and just look at the problems that have been created with people using social media. It's a dangerous path if parents aren't monitoring.
Rory, I see so many shows that you'll see the kids in high school, even grade school, and he sends some type of an intimate part of his body to a potential girlfriend or whatever,
Right.
and they get a hold of it. The whole school gets a hold of it, and the kid kills himself at the end of the fucking week.
Right.
Yes, parents have to be watching this shit really close.
It's true. It's true. I want to bring up this, and I've talked about this before, and this, I do continue to ask the question, was it a mistake to allow women to vote? Because women, more than not, tend to vote with feeling rather than fact. They let their emotions take over rather than the reality of things. A poll, and we all know Democrat women make up the majority of the voter bloc. 1 in 4 Democrats are single issue voters on abortion. And I've talked about this. There are a lot of women that will vote just based on that issue. Nearly a quarter of Democrat voters say they would vote for a candidate based solely on their abortion position. An NBC News poll released Friday found 24% of Democrats said they would base their vote on abortion when asked if any one issue so important that they would vote for or against a candidate solely on that basis. The survey was conducted November 10th to the 14th with 1,000 registered voters and has an overall margin of error of 3.1 percentage points, plus 3.1 percentage points. The poll also finds that the highest share of single issue women voters, 22%, say abortion is their top issue, according to the survey report. The second issue, most important to Democrat voters, is protecting democracy or constitutional rights, with 23% saying the issue could determine their vote. Interesting. Out of overall respondents, protecting democracy or constitutional rights was the top answer, with 19% saying a politician's position on the issue would determine their vote. The second top answer was abortion at 18%.
Well, supposedly, Rory, I listened to everything you said there. Donald Trump has taken very much notice to this abortion issue, and supposedly he's going to moderate on it because he believes we're going to lose a lot of the vote to women. Now, to get back to your initial thing about women in voting, and I'm not saying I like this guy. I know you don't like him. Dennis Prager thinks that if you want to point a finger why America's fucked up, it's because women put, like, let's say Joe Biden in office, and they won't say vote for orange man bad. They will vote on their feelings. And obviously that's usually wrong most of the time. But here we are. And I think by vote, females vote more than males. So that can be very problematic. And that brings me back, and I don't want to deviate from this, but it's something that Rory Sauter has said a million times. The Gavin Newsoms of the world can exploit the female vote. Because they'll say, oh, God, oh, man, he's so smart, too. I don't give a fuck if he's going to ruin the country. I'm going to vote for him.
Trump's making a mistake by trying to pander, this doesn't work, what Trump's doing. I don't think it's smart, and it's against our principles. It's against our values. It's against our traditions. You should never compromise with these monsters about abortion. We're pro-life all the way. What do you think about it? You're not a fan of him trying to compromise with them, are you?
No. He couldn't moderate. As you know, I say a lot of stuff, particularly about late-term abortion. Joe Biden, the big time Catholic, he didn't seem to have a problem, even if I heard about that. You heard about this in Virginia, where even
Yeah.
after the baby's born, they can make a decision to kill it. I mean, actually out of the body, and the doctor and the mother make a determination after a conference. So it's a very serious issue, and you can't take it lightly. And when you think about it, Rory, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. We look at in Canada, people that are mentally ill or even ill, that they can kill themselves, and you say to yourself, when you're getting towards that state, you may not even be thinking in the right frame of mind. Well, in Canada, you're allowed to do that, and in other countries, not just Canada. So one wonders, as I said, give them an inch, they'll take you a mile, and that's where I think abortion leads us to. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you think Trump will backtrack on this whole taking the abortion route? You think?
I've been reading stuff that he's still pro-life.
No, I understand.
That somehow
he better be careful. He better be careful though, because he'll turn people off. He's got to be careful.
I know, but I thought what you're saying, where he also knows he has to get some of that Democrat vote.
So as you were saying though, go ahead.
It's a tightrope as the data. I think there was an election. There was an election last year. Was it in Michigan? I forget where it was, but the abortion issue was on the ballot, and the Republicans got their ass kicked on it. The Democrats think it's a real winning issue for them in 2024, abortion, and they're certainly going to run with it. There's no doubt about that. They've got nothing else. Everything else on their agenda is shit, including abortion. So I don't know how Trump's going to navigate that. He's always been pro-life, and he certainly has to stick that way.
It'll be interesting to see how he juggles that and approaches that, and we'll have to continue to talk about that as time goes on. What do I want to bring up here? Listen to this. Target's embracing transgenderism, hiring gay Cruella for marketing job. Listen to this. Target has reportedly chosen a man named Eric Thompson, who goes by Gay Cruella on social media, as the company's senior LGBTQIA+ segmentation strategist and Pride lead, despite seeing its sales decline over its Pride-themed products earlier this year. Thompson, who claims to go by he, him, his, her, his, whatever the good Lord, pronouns, said he is honored to accept a role leading to Target's LGBTQIA+ multicultural merchandising strategy in Pride businesses in an Instagram post that was flagged by the popular where did it go? Hold on. That was flagged by the popular X Twitter accounts Libs of TikTok. Wow, Jesus, this is insane. This is insane, dude. Like, Target's not learning their lesson. Here we go again.
I did see some of that. I saw a photo of that individual you're talking about.
How many fucking letters do they have? LGBT. What the fuck?
I know. I'm losing track.
I didn't even know. I didn't know they added all these letters since the last time I looked. It's like they keep adding, bro.
Well, they get a whole month for Pride Month.
Yeah.
What was I going to say to you? When Target was under the gun for this stuff last year, remember they moved that merchandise all the way in the back of the store, the LGBTQ thing. And like with the Dylan Mulvaney and all that, how much billions of dollars corporations are losing. But the Target CEO, again, Rory, where are the shareholders saying you're running our company in the ground? But Rory, they're what I call true believers, like the Target CEO and this whole LGBTQ thing. They're true believers. Like, I don't give a shit if we lose billions of dollars. I'm going to appeal to that 0 point to the 100th power audience out there. So to me, that's like a mental illness thing. Okay. Plus you're fucking ruining your brand name. Okay. Is it that important that you have this and you hire this freak, his, her, they, them, chat, whatever the fuck it is. Okay. It's a business wise, it's a stone loser. Unless you think everybody's going to wake up tomorrow and be transgender. It's fucking not going to happen, dude. And they're pushing it. Again, it's an agenda. I know we've talked about it. they're willing to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a losing fucking cause. Or at the very least, put it all in the back. We don't give a shit. But making it prime, hey, look, we're doing this. We're hiring this guy, blah, blah, blah. To be like jumping up and down at something clearly it's going to be a money-losing venture, Rory. And they're proud of it. How fucking crazy is that? And if I got money invested in their stock, you want to roll, man.
They got so much money being given to them by just dark elites, people that are that want them to push this agenda and are bankrolling it. It's never ending. You know they're getting taken care of. They got nothing to worry about. This is all part of the plan.
Good point, Rory. I actually forgot to think about that. You're absolutely right. The dark money and the billionaires and the globalists, remember, they want to divide us down.
Disruption makes money. That's the key.
Right. And they don't want any distinction between male and female. We can clearly see that whether, men in women's sports, swimming, like we saw in the University of Pennsylvania. The globalists think they can make the most money, again, if there's no division in the sexes. Okay? It is such a warped and scumbag agenda. And let's face it, it's evil as fuck. Okay? It's evil. And that's what we're dealing with, Rory. Yeah. And what you're seeing all around you, releases of bioweapons, endless fucking war, wokeism everywhere. That is a coordinated agenda. You'll talk to people and say, oh, that's a sign of the times. The fuck it is. They're jamming this agenda down the legacy media and everywhere else. It's everywhere. It's like I told you, LGBTQ flags outside the Irish Army installation. What the fuck is that all about?
Yeah, they want a reaction. They want people to tick. They want people to freak out. They want, this is their plan. This is what it's all about. They want people fighting. They want people to disagree. They want people to go at each other's throats. And stuff like this is what creates that.
Well, Rory, it's almost like when you were just saying that, I'm thinking like, we'll just put the word racism, whites against blacks. They've been playing that for how fucking long?
Right.
Blacks against whites.
Right. And now they're finding all these other ways where they can capitalize on the divide and they can continue on with this madness and this trend. And it works in their favor, man. Most buy right into it and play into their hand.
Well, in the next couple of months, we'll see another derivative of that. Are you wearing your mask? Fuck no. There you go. Right down the middle. You're either going to wear the mask and follow state propaganda and social distance, or you're not. You're either going to be one of us or you're not. It's division, division, division. And Jesus, I can't believe the average person or the average consumer, they can't see that.
Yeah, we live in a very naive and gullible society, sadly. People can't do their own due diligence and think for themselves. We need more critical thinkers, man. Speaking of the trannies, Jimmy Fallon under fire for calling trans actor Hunter Schafer Bud. Jimmy Fallon has drawn a lot of criticism because of what he did to trans actor Schafer after calling him Bud. People are not reacting very nicely and going crazy on social media, especially people in the alphabet community. Schafer made a guest appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and Fallon congratulated the actor on his latest project, affirming it was particularly special for the actor after having been a fan of the Hunger Games franchise since childhood. After the presenter showed viewers a snap of sci-fi inspired outfit, Schafer enthusiastically admitted, "For Halloween, I was obsessed with how the Capitol people were in costume and made my own costume." Fallon then equally enthusiastically replied, "Oh, Bud, it's unbelievable. This is really cool. Now you're in Hunger Games as a Capitol person." So, all because Fallon said Bud. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. You can't say anything without people losing their shit. We live in such a sensitive culture. Like, it's crazy.
Well, Roy, I guess Fallon should be glad that he didn't say that in Ireland. He'd be in fucking jail for a year calling him Bud.
People are such pussies, man.
Rory, you know what I thought you were going to bring up, and I don't have all the facts. You know this thing with the kid at the NFL game or the college game where he had the Redskin thing on and some blackface on, and they're calling the kid a racist. He's like 9 years old. They've been following that?
No, I haven't followed that.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to get some more information on it, but the kid clearly is a little fucking kid that's dressing up for the game, okay, with a redskin where whatever thing was on and a little bit of makeup on his face. He's a little kid, and then you have these a lot of African American social influencers saying how racist the kid is and shit like that. I mean, where the fuck does this end? Like you said,
It's insane. Pretty soon Jimmy Fallon won't be around.
There you go. They might cancel his ass.
They're already trying. Some people are already trying. It's bad. I mean, they have it out for the guy.
Well, Rory, these people shouldn't even have them on the show because you got to walk on so many eggshells that you know what I mean? Shit's going to come out of your mouth. And like, as I said, if I want to go back to real quick, if this legislation passes in Ireland, I mean, you were right saying, Matt, that could be dangerous for you. You're fucking right. It is, because then you got to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. You can't live your life. You know what I mean? You got to be true to yourself, be able to speak the truth.
Right. And I want to shift here. White House surveillance program lets law enforcement snoop on trillions with a T of American phone records. A secretive surveillance initiative managed by the White House grants law enforcement agencies unprecedented access to trillions of Americans' phone records, raising significant privacy and legal concerns. A Wired investigation has revealed a secret White House surveillance program that permits federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to access an extensive array of U.S. phone records. Known as Data Analytical Services, DAS, this program functions in partnership with telecom giant AT&T, offering a comprehensive analysis of American call records to law enforcement agencies at all levels of government. This deal not only involves direct phone contacts of criminal suspects, but extends to their social networks as well, snooping on individuals who have not been suspected of any criminal activity at all. For over a decade, the program, which is known as DAS, has been tracking more than 1 trillion, with a T, domestic phone records annually. The program, previously referred to as a hemisphere, has evolved to use a technique called chain analysis. This method doesn't limit itself to direct contacts of suspects. It also scrutinizes connections of those individuals, expanding its reach to a broader network of people, including innocent bystanders. The program's method significantly differs from traditional wiretapping, which requires a warrant based on probable cause. Instead, relies on AT&T records, which includes details like the names of callers and recipients, phone numbers, and the dates and times of calls. Increasingly, AT&T is not mandated by law to store those records for extended periods, yet it does so, highlighting a voluntary cooperation that benefits law enforcement.
So you're saying this was operated out of the White House, Rory?
Yeah, the White House. Yeah. They basically put this into place and implemented this and allowed this, and it's a thing.
Rory, you know who really let us, and I read a lot of his stuff, and we're going back 10 years. Edward Snowden was telling everyone they have the capability. And I know what you're saying. Some of these are private corporations or entities. Well, Snowden let everybody know 10 years ago, Rory, that corporations and the government they work hand in hand. They always have since the 40s, when the Western Union and the CIA would work hand in hand when it was all overseas calls and you had to use Western Union. This is very dangerous, Rory. Just think of the amount of information they have on you or me or whatever. I mean, you just don't want to, not go out or leave your house or anything like that, or never use a phone again. I mean, fuck them. But the thing is, they could be using these things for nefarious purposes against you, or heaven forbid, if they were ever against you, they will use these resources to bring you down. And that's the problem. And it's even worse when our own tax dollars are being used against us.
And as things get more advanced and evolved, it's going to get even worse. The spying is really bad. I mean, the way they're passing all these legislations and all these different laws, watch out, people. Nobody's safe anymore. They know everything. Every little thing.
Rory,
Everything.
you ever read the fine
You
print?
can't even piss without them knowing. They know. They may act like they don't know, but they know. You got that. If you got a phone, if you got smartphones, believe me, they're what they're listening right now. They don't care. We're not saying anything bad, but nothing that's, a threat. So, but yeah.
Yes. I look at an article today, Rory, what the government was requesting from anyone that was even in Washington, D.C., anywhere near the J6 thing, and the amount of information. And a lot of time, the government didn't even need warrants. They just fucking asked the various companies, and the various companies says, here it is. You want the data? Well, we'll give you more data. We'll give you the credit card data. And we'll even let you know if this guy's purchased a gun recently.
Right.
All that shit came out without a warrant. That's how much the corporations think of you. But you and I know, we know these same corporations gave billions of dollars to a Marxist organization, BLM. Corporations don't give a fuck about you or me. Okay? So they're operating as one. Government and corporations, they're operating as one, and we should all be very aware of that. Most people aren't.
It's true. It's very true. And the way they're all in bed with each other, the way they all do deals with each other, the way they all, powerful stuff, man.
And the Twitter files indicated, Rory, that the connection between government, and particularly the Biden regime, and big tech was fucking criminal. I mean, I know Elon Musk is suing, the Media Matters and whatnot, but a couple of the people on the site also said, well, why can't I sue groups like Media Matters, or even the government for that matter? Because if I was running my business through Twitter and that was my fucking livelihood, but they came along and they censored and deplatformed me and shadow banned me and censorship algorithms, okay, can I bring a court judgment against you like Elon is bringing against Media Matters because Elon lost all the advertising revenue? As far as I'm concerned, that's a legit suit. He's going to fucking win that. Okay. Can we do that? I mean, I hate to be overlooking the obvious, but they fucking wrecked. They shouldn't be allowed to take you off a platform. Well, that really, really, if you did something severe, whatever that may be, but they would remove you. But, most of the times it's politically motivated.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's dark. It's dirty.
Yeah. And we're in the middle of it.
We are. Yeah, everybody has to be careful. Just like the amount of information, the amount of data. I mean, they know everything.
It's nothing, Rory, there is a lot of stuff, and there's books and books about that they know everything. But like I said to you, I think what really opened my eyes was when I started reading the various programs that Snowden and Glenn Greenwald really broke it down in his book, what they were, Operation Spectrum, all these fucking things. And their surveillance was like the facility they're building out in Utah, the NSA. This thing is the largest storage capacity in the fucking on the planet. Okay. Why do you need all that? And the capacity, it's going so much that they can every single phone call you've ever made or keystroke or purchase online. I mean, everything. They can push a button and they have your whole story, including every podcast. I mean, I really don't give a shit because I'm going to live my life. You're going to live your life. I'm not going to fucking live it in some corner and say, oh, I can't do anything because you know everything. Fuck them. You know what I mean? Live your life. That's what it comes down to. That they win. If we turn aside and say, okay, this is too much for me, it's overwhelming. No, I'm going to live my life. If it comes down to it and it gets into to the streets and the battle is there, so be it. But right now, you're right, Rory. Exploitation is in high gear.
Yeah, it is. It is. And before we close out, I do want to mention the whole Ukraine thing. All allies are now agreeing that Ukraine will join NATO, says alliance boss. NATO reaffirms its long-term support for Ukraine and says its members all agree the nation will join the alliance, but not while the war is ongoing and not before it has reformed. The Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Jens Stoltenberg, again spoke of NATO membership for Ukraine as a definite matter, despite previous dissent from within the alliance, as he spoke of a forthcoming meeting of the NATO-Ukraine Council this week. Allies agree that Ukraine will become a member of NATO, Stoltenberg said. As he said, discussions this week would focus on the priority reforms for the country to make it fit to join the organization. Recent direct support for Ukraine cited by the Norwegian politician turned alliance leader included the Air Defense Coalition, billions in new funding, and the opening of the F-16 training center in Romania for Ukrainian pilots.
Rory, from the sources that
Stoltenberg was firm Ukraine would be joining NATO, meaning it would be party to the Article 5 protections, which bring all members to war if any one of them is attacked in Europe or North America. He did also make clear that would be contingent on some major changes. Besides reforms for Ukraine, including full interoperability between Ukraine forces and NATO forces based on NATO doctrines and training procedures. He said Ukraine would have to no longer be at war first. Go ahead.
That's a big if there. The people that I follow and speak with are saying that NATO is crumbling. I know they're expanding the last year or two, these countries, but behind the scenes from what I hear, they are crumbling. There's no fucking way they know at this point that they can take Russia on. All NATO and US, they can't. At the best, it would be a stalemate, but you're still in Russia's backyard. Okay. And if I may add a side thing that I want to bring up to you immediately that came out today. I heard there are reports that they have Zelensky's hand in the cookie jar, and the guy has a $50 million fucking yacht. That's what the latest that came out today.
Doesn't surprise me.
Do you want this? Do you want, like what you were just talking about, Rory? Do they want Ukraine and NATO, the most corrupt fucking country in the world? You want them to be part of NATO? And this what would you say, part 5 or whatever it is? If you attack a NATO member, you attack all. Would you really want that stewed Zelensky dragging you into a face-to-face war with Russia? I mean, I firmly believe that it'll be winding down. It'll be winding down. But as far as Ukraine joining NATO, I don't know. I mean, they probably talk the talk, but they're not going to walk the walk, Rory. I mean, that would be some crazy stuff. And you think about, what is Ukraine going to look like? Zelensky can't run. And you know, Rory, if 500,000 soldiers are dead, how does he come back and look at those families in the face? And essentially the fighting was for nothing. You and I know Putin won. Putin, he won. Yeah. So there's nothing left to fight for. That guy's fucking gone. I don't know who's taking over Ukraine. They'll probably have another, bullshit election run by the CIA, but it's over. And I don't think they'll try to fuck with Putin for many, many years to come, because right now he is still in control of the skies, the seas, and everything else. And he has also let Biden know, if you fuck with this, hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, nuclear, I'll do the whole 9 yards. And I have to believe that Putin means what he's saying.
And as I've said many times, Russia is dominating. They are conquering. Ukraine is fucked. It's just a matter of time until Ukraine will have to, really reevaluate, and we'll have to beg for peace, and they'll have no other choice, because I don't think countries are going to continue to fund them forever. I think it'll obviously happen for a while longer, but eventually it's going to jump the shark. It's going to get fucking old.
Well, they were never going to win, Rory. This is the thing too. They never had a fucking chance.
Right.
It was a CIA conceived operation that Ukraine would be poking the bear and tie them down in some type of fucking forever guerrilla Afghanistan war. You and I know the Russians aren't going to fucking tolerate that.
Right.
The Russians don't want to kill all the Ukrainian people. Right. They're part of that, the Russian Slavs or whatever. They don't want to wipe them out.
And
we're going to have some type of a peace thing. And they could have had that at the beginning of the war. But Boris Johnson, at the behest of Biden, fucked it up and told Ukraine, don't accept anything. We're gonna win this. And of course, that was fucking lunacy.
And we're already seeing the money and the supplies diminish and slow down to Ukraine. They're not. It's not like it was. So there's already changes being made. So we're getting there.
Yes.
It'll take some time.
Rory, we keep saying it, and I'll just say it briefly.
Even if you're a fucked up world leader, you can only explain this type of madness, meaning defending Ukraine for so long before the people wake up to it that you're in the country you're representing saying they've had enough. Because there's even Democrats now that are sick of this. Believe it or not, there's people that are catching on finally after it's taken them long enough. But yeah.
Well, Rory, are you noticing the Ukraine lapels and the Ukraine flags all of a sudden are starting to disappear from everyone?
Right.
They're all fucking jumping ship.
Right.
It's on the runway.
The trend is gone. It's not in fashion anymore.
No.
Not in style. Not a thing.
We want to move. As I said, Rory, what happened to the Ukrainian people was, we live here in the United States. They were fucking flattened. 8 million of the people are scattered all around the world now because of the CIA stooge that sold his own people out. But the worst part about it, man, we quarterbacked the whole operation in the United States. That is the sad thing. And think about Nord Stream 1 and 2, billions of dollars of the damage. And listen, I'll say it once, say it a million times. Putin has exercised maximum restraint. He could have went to war because it was an act of war just over that. Let's hope we can get away from world war here and hope that cooler heads prevail as far as the Israeli-Palestinian situation is.
Amen. Matthew, anything else to say? Anything final tonight? We miss out.
No, I think we covered a lot tonight, Rory. Everything I think we covered.
Excellent. Well, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Another episode of Censorless Hour in the books. We'll see you all very soon. Until next time, I'm Rory Sauter, Matthew J. God bless. Much love. Cheers, everybody.